Thanks, everyone. Good morning. So Chalice Gold, we're a unique junior company. And why I say that is that we're in Australia and Canada. We have two district-scale gold exploration projects in obviously Tier 1 jurisdictions in some of the most prolific geological terrains in the world. We have a very strong balance sheet for a company of our size. We have approximately 36 million Australian in cash, just over 25 million US, some liquid investments on top of that, and we trade at basically zero enterprise value, and that is the opportunity. We have a large, proven and experienced team. This is not a new business. This is an established business. We have a proven business model, having generated over 100 million in net proceeds from asset sales in the last 12 years. So a very successful business model. We actually just announced earlier this week that we're returning some more capital to shareholders. It'll take the total we've returned to shareholders to 35 million Australian in the last 6 years. This is where our current projects are, and I'd like to talk to you about two this morning. The first project, Pyramid Hill Gold Project in Bendigo, is a 3,000 square kilometre land package northwest of Bendigo, so a very large gold producer in the 19th century, and northeast of Kirkland Lakes Gold's Fosterville gold mine, now the world's most profitable gold mine. We're about to start drilling our maiden drill program here in about 4 weeks' time, and I'll give you a sense of the size of the exploration potential here. We also, on top of that, have our East Cadillac Gold Project in the very established Val-d'Or mining camp of Quebec. We have 27 kilometres of strike there in one of the best neighbourhoods for gold exploration worldwide. And we've done one season of drilling, almost 28,000 metres of diamond exploration to date. There is a big push to come back to Tier 1 jurisdictions, so we're justified ourselves at the moment that we're in the right neighbourhood. So first of all, Victoria. So this is our 3,000 square kilometre land package where we cover the blue areas on the map here. Bendigo is just on the bottom of the page there. As I said, a 22 million ounce ore body at a grade of 15 grams per tonne. So very high grade. What's important here is the area to the south of the purple dotted line running through the centre of the page has an endowment of approximately 60 million ounces of gold at very high grades of 10 to 15 grams per tonne. As you go north, that same geology, north of the purple dotted line, goes under Murray Basin cover and has been largely unexplored or ineffectively explored over the last 100 years. Even the Victorian government estimates there's 30 million ounces of gold just under that Murray Basin cover that's waiting to be found. So we're northwest of Bendigo and also northeast of Fosterville, as I mentioned, which has a cash cost of $264 US an ounce, so easily the world's most lowest cost commercial mine. We have approximately 70 kilometres of strike coverage north to south in that central area, so a very, very large land package. So earlier this year, we just started working this property in June of this year, and we identified 4 very large gold in soil anomalies, so the first indication, if you like, of exploration potential. These were identified by Homestake Gold in the early 2000s, just before they were acquired by Barrick. And basically these anomalies are almost completely untested with effective drill holes. 2 of them there run over 12 kilometres long at 5.5 parts per billion gold in soil level. We're about to start drilling on these targets in 4 weeks' time. So our first program is approximately 8,500 metres. As I mentioned, we're going to drill 3 targets that are largely untested. It's a mix of air core and reverse circulation, so very cheap air drilling on very wide-spaced lines. So if you have a look at that west target on the page there, those drill fences are over 3 kilometres apart. We're going to be drilling largely on roadsides. So this is north of Bendigo, this is farmland, but a very easily accessible area with great infrastructure, obviously, and an east-west road grid approximately a mile spaced. So the west target overlies a 20-kilometre long gravity feature. We're expecting 20 to 50 metres of cover over that feature. And as I mentioned, there's a very large soil anomaly on top of that as well. The other key point is we have approximately 70 kilometres of strike of three major regional structures, the black line on that page. Those structures host between 20 and 30 million ounces of gold in their areas of outcrop to the south. As yet, they have been essentially untested by effective drilling. Two other targets on the property as well. The south target, we have not received our soil geochemistry results there yet, but essentially we've outlined a 10-kilometre long gravity feature in basement there, gravity being the primary tool that we're using here to infer the features in the basement. So this is a schematic on the left of what Bendigo looks like. It's a series of stacked anticlines, very tightly spaced in a northwesterly orientation. The field was over 12 kilometres long. It was the world's largest producer for about 40 years in the 19th century. As I said, very high grade. Every 100 vertical metres contained 3 to 5 million ounces of gold. So this was a prolific gold field by any standard. On the right-hand side there's a schematic cross-section, a typical cross-section of what that looks like. So you can see that the anticlinal features in the geology here is the target. So we're looking for stacked anticlines, prospective for saddle reef style gold mineralisation. So a very exciting time for the company. As I said, this is our maiden drill program coming up in 4 weeks' time. We have the cash, obviously, to hit this very, very aggressively with over 35 million Australian in cash. And bearing in mind, we have nil enterprise value in the current share price. Our second project is in Quebec, so a bit closer to home here. As I said, we're in the Val d'Or camp. We're approximately 40 kilometres east of Val d'Or, a town of 30,000 people, along a break that has known endowment of about 100 million ounces of gold in the greater Abitibi region, which is over 200 million ounces of gold endowment. We've done a consolidation. We've done 14 separate earn-in or purchase agreements to consolidate 250 square kilometres. And being Quebec, obviously, we have the capital, our own capital, to progress this project. We receive a 30% rebate on all our exploration spend in the ground. This is where we are. At the bottom right-hand side of the page there, we surround a historic mine called Chimo. It produced about 400,000 ounces and was closed in the late 90s due to a very low gold price. We have a 27 kilometres of strike running west to east there on the page, and it's a who's who of Canadian major mining companies. About 100 million ounces along strike from us to the west. This is what the project looks like. We have the Chimo mine there in the centre of the page. That's being drilled at the moment by a junior called Cartier Resources down to about 1,500 metres below surface. That was mined only down to 870 metres. We know the mineralisation extends onto our property. It's all season access, it's Val d'Or, it's a very established mining camp. We can drill all year round on most of the property. Some areas we're restricted only to drilling in winter when the ground's frozen. As I mentioned, world-class infrastructure here. We have the Trans-Canadian sealed highway within 2 kilometres of our block, and it's roughly a 40-kilometre drive east of Val d'Or. There are also multiple gold processing facilities here in the region, upwards of 15 facilities that are in need of additional feed. So the commerciality threshold is very, very low here for a discovery. We've focused our work, as I mentioned, we've done 2 summer field seasons, geochemistry and geophysics field seasons, as well as 1 drilling program. We drilled the best part of 28,000 metres over winter, and we made 3 new gold discoveries on ground that was essentially virgin and untouched before we acquired the property. As I mentioned, it's a consolidation, so historically this was held by 14 different landowners, this land package, and explored in a very narrow sort of manner. We've zoomed back and we've given this property justice. We've done every possible exploration data set possible to cover this ground, and we've made 3 discoveries. The most exciting for me, the north contact there, a 23-metre intersection of 1.1 grams, including 2 higher grade zones within them, wide open in all directions, up dip, down dip, east, west. There's not a drill hole within kilometres of these hits. Lac Rapides, another similar discovery in a completely new part of the project. There is a small resource and easterly extension of the historic mine. It is not our primary game to expand that resource. We are out here to look for a 5 million to 10 million ounce ore body. This is our current field program. We're just completing. Essentially, we've spent almost $12 million Canadian on this project now in 2 years, so we have been exploring very aggressively. We're completing extensions to geophysics coverage, and we expect to outline some new drill targets for the winter field season in the next month. This is not a new business. As I mentioned, it's generated over $100 million in net proceeds to date. 2 main transactions. We pulled $115 million US from a project in Eritrea in 2012. We entered Canada on the Cameron Gold project. We subsequently sold that for $25 million profit. So generated, as I mentioned, over $100 million in proceeds. So this is a proven business. There's the basics. The executive chairman, who's sitting in the audience here, owns 17% of the stock. We have a couple of other large funds holding Franklin Templeton holding 12%, Paradise, a fund out of Sydney, holding 4%. We also have some liquid investments totaling about $2.5 million. We have a team, approximately 12 geologists, a very experienced board, a number of very well-known names on that list there. So news flow, essentially, as I mentioned, we're coming up to our maiden drill program in Victoria, starting in about 4 weeks' time. Very exciting time for the business. So just to summarise there, and I thank you very much, and I encourage you to please come over and chat to us if you want more information. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.